You are live. We are live there on Melon, so that's good. All right.
Did you figure out the sound deal?
Here we go. Here on back page daily. Hey.
Oh yeah, I can hear myself now. I think we're good.
Yeah, I've got it on. I can hear me. Can you hear you?
Yeah, I could there.
Yeah, but very low. Like I'm gonna bump you way up.
It's all we're stuck inside the mountain. Can't
I
get
got
out.
it. I got it now. It's on my end. You guys are fine now.
Middle of the cave going, hello.
Right? Yeah, I got you both up there. Don't worry. He can hear you. Yeah. All right. What happened to the there's a rabbit here. No. What happened to all right, rabbit? For some reason we lost the rabbit. So hang in there. I know it's going dark, baby, but hang in there.
The rabbit stole our microphones. Ran away with it.
Right. Red rabbit. Nah, should I go red rabbit? White rabbit. White rabbit. There we go. White rabbit. All right. There's the rabbit hole. All right. So now we go window capture. Do I want to do window capture? Yeah, no, cancel. I want to do, window capture is fine.
Engineering to Captain Kirk. I think we've got the issue resolved. Let's go.
I know, right? I know. Gee. All right. So I got you two both in here. All right. So I go down here, do this. Yeah, where it just shows us three talking. Yep. All right. There's the rabbit hole. Yeah. Too bad I can do that. Actually, I can make the rabbit slide over here. There we go. That looks pretty cool.
Yeah, it does.
All right. Kind of like that. Earth to Major Tom. I know, right? And media source. All right. And I can edit all this. I'm not recording on JSL yet, but we are live over there. 2 minutes and 40. All right. We're a rabbit commercial. No. Yeah, might as well. There's a rabbit commercial coming in. The rabbit hole was created to dive deeper into subjects that needed further examination. Hi, I'm Joe, and my guest and I will take you on a journey of discovery and exploration. We will provide insight and theories regarding the subjects we discuss. Come join us live at joeslicklive.locals.com, or you can join us on Facebook or Twitch or YouTube. Thanks, and look forward to seeing you. And remember, don't get none on you. Yeah, don't get none on you, man. Make sure you like and subscribe over there. Twitch is recording, and I have it on Melon, and when we are live on we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on X, and we're on Locals, and on Twitch, all at the same time, everybody. So hello. I don't know what it looks like over there. Maybe I can go check it out real quick in the background. Go to Facebook. Well, no, maybe. No. How about just Facebook, right? That's one of the places we're live. Next time I'll get Rumble as well. So where the hell's Facebook? Oh, right here. There we go. Youngest, whatever. Oh, well, 2 minutes ago, he likes the video so far. Somebody did, so I guess I don't know who they are, but all right. We're on. I guess somebody on Facebook said hi. So we're live. The live stream is there. Show the timestamp. Okay. All right. So we're golden right now. I guess. All right. Well, Apophis is an Oort cloud object. All right. 5 by 5. All right, Timmy. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Rabbit Hole on April 11th, 2024. My guest, Clemmer, Luke Clemmer, and who also has his own show. Might as well plug that too, right? He's got
Right
the
on.
shit show on Friday nights at 10 o'clock Central Time. And let me see if I can get you that image. It'll tell you a little bit about it. There you go. There it is. There's it, the shit show with Luke Clemmer, Friday nights at 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. He's a blue collar talker, and he'll talk about and he'll interview blue collar people in regards to stuff that we all take for granted. Like how our food gets to where we get to buy it from the store. And I think that's a pretty important aspect of life. The 4-H kids, they're all taught this early on, but the city people, we're not. And so learning about truckers and learning about dispatchers and learning about ranchers,
Farmers and ranchers, and
yeah. What else, bud? Tell me.
we'd eventually like to get into a lot of different blue collar work. Maybe even the local USDA inspector or the welder or the carpenter. I guess there's really no bounds on where it could go.
Right. And Joe Slick Studios is promoting this and promotes JSL as well. It's our parent group that's going to be branching out to do little things like this, and maybe they grow up and help promote some of our longtime viewers and people who have something to say. We want to be able to be involved in that. We want to help them develop how to do a talk show like we're doing here. All right, so that's a good plug. Let's see who's out there watching now. Good evening, Timmy. Good evening, Susan. Good evening, Beth. Good evening, Rockbob76. Good evening, Quake Cat. Good evening, Ozzy Girl. I say good morning to you. I don't know. Yeah, it's probably morning. Yeah. Good morning, Ozzy. It's always a pleasure to see you. How's your grandson doing? Good evening, Eden. Nice to see you. Somebody's hacking in the background. Good evening, Canuck. And of course, Luke Clemmer, and better known as the Plowman or the Snowplow King, And Simply Sue is out there. Nice to see you, Simply. I know nothing. Sergeant Schultz, Flutter Girl, nice to see you out there, sis. I hope things are moving along with your project. Doc Rock, 18. Nice to see you, bud. And, of course, Big T-shirt Billy, he's got a brown eye. Some people get knocked out and they get a black eye. He's got a brown eye because he's got blue eyes, and so somebody clocked him. And Spunky Mango is in the house. All right. Monkey Mango, nice to see you. And I'm sure there's a few others that are hiding in the background. And I'm not going to mention their names. If they want to come forward, they can. So good evening, everybody. First, I'd like to start off the evening with, I'm going to put them on the spot. What's going on at the Iceland volcano there? Or Canuck?
Oh, it's still under Svartsengi. It's still raising up, but now it's like going more towards the west where the other craters are.
Oh,
So that's the latest as of today.
what do you mean? It's going to the west?
So to the west towards the Elvorp or Elverp,
Are you talking about the magma
Craters.
or the hole?
where it's the raising up is going on. The
Oh.
volcano is still going, but the land rising is going up under Svartsengi and then more to the west rather than the east. So towards the other crater system on the western side of Grindavik.
Uncle
Do they
Milty.
notice-
Uncle Milty. Go
I
ahead.
was
That's
going to
what-
ask, do they notice that the volcano over there, is it starting to erupt harder than as the ground's raising over to the west?
No, it increased a little bit the other night, the same night as the eclipse, because some spilled out because there was a
Right. It
Collapse.
increased pretty dramatically for a couple of hours. On
yeah,
a collapse, right? Mhm.
and then it leaked out. But what it's doing now, it's flowing north, not south,
Oh.
because it was the backside where it broke.
Oh,
So
okay.
now, so they're not worried about the lava going south now. It's going towards the north. So there's more on that backside, more place for it to spread out. It's not near anything. So,
Mm.
so they're not worried about that right now. But they had to shut down because the Blue Lagoon was back open again a couple
What?
days ago. Yeah, but they had to shut it down again because of the wind changed and blew the
All the gas. Yeah.
gas back that way. So it was shut down.
They must make a ton of money at the Blue Lagoon, dude. They must make a ton of money at the Blue Lagoon because the necessity of opening that place. That's just, it's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
'cause
actually mind blowing.
just
You're right.
Icelandic guy had an update on it there about 2 hours ago, so I watched
Oh, I like that guy. Yeah, we support that guy for sure. All right. Why don't we just take a look at what's going on? Solar wind right now is 458. Densities at 5, almost 6 protons per cubic meter. We've had an M5 and a C5 in the last 24. Did everybody know we had an M5? I didn't know.
No, I guess I didn't.
It happened in 1700 hours. Where the hell? I think I was working. Yep. What is it? 1700 hours right now. We're at 12. Wait, what are we? At 2:30. So 17 to 24 is, I don't know what the hell. That's
7.
7 hours. Yeah, 7 hours, 8, 9 hours. 9 hours ago. Where the hell was I? I was working. All right. That's what was happening for me. I didn't get a text from my buddy over there. Oh, he did. He posted it, he said. Oh, okay. You're supposed to text me, son. When you don't text me. It felt warm. I'm telling you, I was out there in the heat. Boy, it was hot. I think we got up to 85 today. And it's like, man, I can feel it. Yeah, I was working. It's all right, bud. I left early and to try to get on a project, and then the project just kind of unfolded and it got a lot bigger. So now I got to rip out the floor in the bathroom. So, hey, it's money. I'm not complaining. All right. So, Edna blowing the rings, I bet if you rolled Big T-shirt Billy over in the pool, he'd blow rings too. And that's an inside joke, everybody. Because he floats. All right.
It's lots of methane.
He's full of methane. That's right. Put in a jacuzzi tub, eh? No, right? No floaties needed. You gonna leave them? Anyway, so 5008 burned up as it turned into the sun. Soon after Zuxan photographed this comet, this happened more than 5,000 times. Most doomed sun grazers, including this one, are members of the Kreutz family, named after 19th century German astronomer who studied them in detail. Kreutz sun grazers are fragments from the breakup of a giant comet 2,000 years ago. I wonder what happened else 2,000 years ago. Oh, several fragments passed by the sun and disintegrate every day, although most of them are too small to see. Yeah, I like watching those, man. They're pretty. I was looking for it yesterday. I couldn't find it. But Tams can recall only two other examples sun grazers seen during the solar eclipse. One in 2020, also, and I can't even say the word. Or a chat Boonplod discovered. Whatever. Who makes up these stupid ass names? And another one in 2000. I think the modern imaging equipment and techniques seeing sun grazers during the eclipse is no longer hugely challenging, but it does require one crucial ingredient: the right comet at the right time. There you go. No coronal holes significant to raise the wind. I don't know what's going on. We're in solar maximum almost peaked, and there's no coronal holes. So what's going on? I don't know. Class M chance, 25%. Class N, 1. X is 1%. Mid-latitudes, geometric storm probabilities, 20. And high latitudes, 15%. So, hey, there were 18 fireballs, overnight, last 24 hours. And today being the 11th, there's one. Oh, shit. That sucker hit the earth. Was there a meteor that hit the earth today? April 11th. It's a 0 lunar distances. It's only 9 feet across.
Yeah, it's the one they just found the other day and said it was coming close to Earth, but
yeah,
it never hit, as far as I know.
Oh, well, they got it at 0 LD, so
yeah,
it's not even as far as the moon. So it's between us and the moon, and less than 10%. So where plane flies, 9 feet across, traveling at 14.4 kilometers every second. How fast is 14.4 kilometers? 14.4. I don't know how much a kilometer is. times 60 divided by 1.6. 32,400 miles an hour.
That's cooking.
It's moving, baby. A 9-foot rock. Yeah. That's about twice as fast as the satellites orbit around our planet, and faster than the moon gave that shadow across North America.
Yeah. Unless that's what made the Antarctic blob anomaly on Ventusky.
Yeah, people were talking about it. I saw you in chat. I looked it up. I couldn't find anything. So I was hoping that you found a little more than I did. But yeah. Anyway, that being said, look where all the earthquakes are. Indonesia or Philippines to Kermitics, right? According to USGS, and then South America, and then Alaska, and one in Texas too. That's odd, isn't it? And it's like, hey,
I don't remember my phone saying any 5s at all today.
Yeah. Well, there was one in where is that? Nicaragua had a 4.9, and we can look that origin up and magnitudes. Oh yeah, it's 5.5 at least. Yeah, 5.5, 5.5, 5.3, 5.5. So yeah. Yeah. The USGS, remember, they don't use magnitudes like we're used to anymore. they use it different, and
Yeah, it's kind of a can you feel it deal, isn't it? Or did you feel it?
I know, right? It's like,
If you didn't feel it, they're downgrading it at least a half a magnitude.
right. And I've got a video here if I can find it for you. I think I tried last time to find it, but I said, let me see, it was in here. No, nope, not in here. Videos.
Yeah, they don't take fault reports from the bouncy castle. I don't count.
Oh my God, from the bouncy castle. That's funny there, dude. Yeah, what the hell is it? I don't know what the hell I did with it. Probably on the other computer. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah, I don't have it anymore. Anyway, there was a gal that gave us a really good explanation of it, and I can't find it, unfortunately for me, because I'm knucklehead and I lost it. Yeah, unfortunately I did. That's just a shame too, because she gave a really good explanation. Anyway, so basically they take a lot of different factors into play. No longer is it magnitude anymore, but it's the mercantile. It gives mercantile. I thought those were always the bad people, the mercantiles.
Yeah, the moment magnitude scale.
Yeah, moment magnitude scale. Yeah. Uncle Milty says you have to pay a carbon tax. Big triangle. Uh-oh. And cow farts worth. Oh my gosh. Hey, there was a 5 today. The Philippines had a 5, at least according to USGS. And then Port Olry and Vanuatu had a 4.8. And let's see what the origins say on this. Definitely a 5 plus, probably a 5.3. So there were 5s, but the USGS is not promoting them to be 5s. There was a 4.9 Indonesia. And looking at the magnitudes on this, definitely 5, 5.5. So the two below Indonesia, that's another 5. And then Fiji was a 4.8. And
that was a 5.
Yeah, pretty deep too. Yeah, 5.3. So, again, if you're looking the old way, that's the numbers we're using. Otherwise, 4.8 is what Fiji was at 600 depth. That's super stinking deep. There's something way, 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 way down in the mantle down there, and I don't think it's solid. I think there's a gurgle, like a, I don't know, reverse drain that makes it come upward versus, like the bubbles, like something's gurgling, and that's why these things are happening way down deep in the mantle. Generally, earthquakes are between 15 and 50 kilometers, and these things are 600 kilometers. So it's kind of like, wow, and Chile had a 5. I'm telling you, Chile was a 5. 4.8, the origins say.
If I'm not mistaken, wasn't there like an 8 or 8.2 over there in the Comretics here back a few years ago that was like 750 kmd?
That was 2018 was the 8.2.
Yeah.
And that was a super deep one, if I remember right.
Yeah. Well, it said Fiji, but same area.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I'm kind of generalizing the area. It wasn't specific.
Yeah. I know there were 2.8s in the Cometics a few years ago that they downgraded to 7s, and there was one off the coast of New Zealand, the northern island. There was a 7 there, then the 2.8s happened, and then they knocked them down, just like they did in Japan. There were 2 7s, 5 minutes apart on the stamp, and they said no, it was the same quake, so they took away one of the 7s. And I actually think they downgraded it. So
Yeah, they took one away and downgraded the other.
yeah. So I mean, it's. I think we just got to get on the same page as the USGS and understand what they're doing before we critique them too hard. I mean, it is a bit frustrating when we can see it on other sites. We can see the seismogram going ape turd, and the USGS is not reporting it. And they're supposed to report everything above 4.5, and they're not doing that. So there are only 2 active volcanoes in Australia. What if Australia slips into the trench? You mean the island's going to tip over?
It's gonna capsize.
It's going to capsize because a lot of I don't know, Chinese over there. I don't know. What do you mean? Only 2 volcanoes in Australia. Did you know that? I didn't know that. But looking at volcanoes today, Simiru is about normal. Reventador is small and normal. Luwutolo's out of 6,000. That's there in Indonesia, just above Timor. Sabancaya down in central or southern Peru. In the armpit, 23. So it's not very much there, and that's it. There's nothing even in volcanically. Wait, is that today's or yesterday's? Or tomorrow's? I don't know. We're the 11th. Okay. Etna, Santa Guido, Fuego, Popo, Simiru, Ibu, and Dukono. Etna, it blowing smoke. She is. Ebico up there in Kamchatka, 10,000 feet. Probably about a 7,000. Dukono back to 8,000. Dukono's right here. Ibu's over here, and they've both been just boom, 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 boom. Big smashes. There's some earthquake activity to the north of this island, Halmahera, towards the Philippines, and that we saw that. Ibu, see, boom, boom, oh, and turd. 10,000 as well. Navarro del Ruiz, it's 17 to 20. Santa Guido, yeah, it's nothing. Popo, nothing. Popocatépetl volcano in Mexico City. So if you don't know where Popo is, Reventador down in Ecuador, very small. Simiru in Indonesia, yeah, 3,000 feet. Sabancaya is only steam and gases. And Marapi, 12,000 out of a 96. Not a whole lot. Yeah. So all day, Marapi reported 12,000. Yeah. Etna, small explosion last night. Yeah. So it's a little bit active. So what does that mean for you historically, Canuck, when Etna starts to act up? What does that tell you about Iceland?
Well, it usually acts up more after you have a long eruption in Iceland, from what I've looked back historically.
Right. So,
which would make sense to me, because it means the mid-Atlantic ridge is expanding, right?
Correct.
So that's what it's doing when the volcanoes erupt. So then it would push Europe east and North America west.
Yeah. And Africa?
Well, not so much Africa, because Africa would be down lower, right? Because
The
Africa's
southern-
is moving more north. It's like Australia. Australia's going north, and eventually it's going to take
Yes.
all those islands, add all those islands above it to it. So
Yep. The maritime continent's going to disappear in 10 million years.
Yeah.
Depends on where these subduction zones go, you know.
Yeah. And Africa is coming up too, right? So it's
Yeah, it's splitting apart. Yeah.
and splitting
Ethiopia,
apart too. Yeah.
yeah, Uganda, Tanzania. There was an earthquake in Africa, was there not? Thought I was hearing somebody talk about something in there today. Did you hear something like that?
Well,
was
the Uganda spec is acting up on
Okay.
DC, but I
Yeah.
never heard anything about an earthquake.
Yeah, it's acting up big time. Yeah, it failed. All right, so well, you're up to date on everything. There's something interesting that you spoke about. You talked about it with Chris here on Twitch here at JSL. That's Joseph Live, everybody. And you were talking about some sort of anomaly that took place on not on Windy, but on the other site, Vendusky.
Yeah.
You know, Venducky, right? Yeah. And probably what day was it? Was it the 8th it took place?
Well, I had to go back to the 10th to see it on the website. So that would be yesterday.
All right. So, but the anomaly happened.
And it was under the wave map setting.
All right. Waves. There it is. Yeah. Happened on the 10th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. There's a wave of something coming up. Very, very strong. A 48-foot swell. And 83 feet, 100 feet. I think something fell in the
But they had it like going up on the pay version of it, like all the way up past Africa by like tomorrow being all the way up in the Atlantic.
right.
Would that be like a rogue wave? You know,
Well,
if
I don't
something
know
hit
if
it
it would
in the
be
center and then it all starts spreading out?
You're talking 83 feet. That's significant.
That's a huge wave.
Yeah, I started researching rogue waves tonight, and they do get 80-foot ones sometimes.
Yeah, and to me, it would seem like maybe some of the ice fell into the, ocean there, a big portion, and there's, video of an ice breaking off. I seen you all talking that, and I had to go take the shower because I need to wash off today. But, what was the consensus on that?
Well, it disappears, but the original video, well, Tim just put it in there now because it was on Into Thin Air, had the video.
What happened? Yeah, I don't play other people's channels. I can't.
Yeah.
This thing disappeared.
But it disappeared on his when he showed it. It kept going.
Yeah, 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. and then it disappeared completely. So sometime between those 3 hours, this thing disappears. And did he have it recorded? Is that how come? Oh, they removed it. Hey, good evening, 42. Nice to see you, buddy. My apologies. I couldn't do it last night. No way. One of those nights.
Tim, in the original one, as it spread out, did the waves get less and less after a while in height or what?
Yeah, as it went up, it spread out more on his video. But I think he has like the professional version, so it like projects like where it's going to go, like hurricanes, stuff like that.
Okay.
Right. I mean, that is quite a distance for a wave to be 80 plus feet. I mean, you'd
Yeah,
almost think something hit it.
He had,
or hit
yeah,
that
he had
seafloor.
starting down by Antarctica, and then going all the way up, all the way to the Atlantic.
Yeah,
But
and we had a buoy on off of Chile, southern Chile, as well, going off today.
there was not any reports of like big waves
Yeah.
anywhere that we could find. So who knows?
Well, you got on one side of Africa during this time, you see 26-foot swells, pretty significant swells. And then over here, you've got definitely, something must have hit the water or something.
Well, I looked on both Vinci Sky and Windy tonight, and there was 8-meter waves off South Africa down at the bottom, and then 6-meter waves up by the UK in the Atlantic. But that was it, which they're not out of the ordinary. Because I looked both on Windy and Vinci Sky, is how you say it. So I looked up how you say it.
Oh, Venture Sky, yeah.
Yeah, and 25, 30-foot waves are pretty common
But
in a storm, aren't they?
yeah, the anomaly wasn't on Windy, so I don't know. It's only showing.
Well,
up.
they're saying this thing's today, the 11th. That's what I'm seeing right now. And it's on the 10th, and I'm seeing it on the 11th as well. Wednesday, today. It's back. Go figure that, eh?
Oh, that's weird. Because he had it going all the way up to the North Atlantic by tomorrow or whatever on his he was showing.
All right. I watched the which is a cool dude, and yeah, I'll promote him because he's the surf report dude. He says watch the South. The South is going to go bananas. It's going to slow down in the North Pacific, and the Southern Pacific is going to go abnormal. And we're seeing it already. Look at this anomaly right here. These waves.
Canuck, do you think in any way that anomaly that's there is like something to do with the a polarity change in the magnetics of that area, and it's kind of fooling the satellite or something?
Well, it could be because that's where the South Atlantic
anomaly. Well, in that off the coast of South America, more way up here, not way down there.
Yeah, but I think it moves around a little bit.
Okay, and I heard there's 2 poles right now as well. Not just so we have 2 North Poles, 2 South Poles right now. Did you hear about that?
No, I didn't.
All right.
But I don't know why it wouldn't show on the other things too, because it's only showing up on the wave.
Are them websites using like 2 different satellites to get their image made? Maybe.
No, when I looked up Venture Sky, they only use one satellite that they get all the info from.
They get it. They all get it from the same satellite. You're saying?
Yeah, I don't know about Windy. I never looked up what windy.com, what satellite they use. But
yeah, very interesting how it does move north and then disappears. At 5 this morning. Yeah, it's not there anymore. But we get this anomaly over here. Strong waves, 25 footers. We got 35 footers coming here. There must be a swell down there. So satellite.
But they did have like a rogue wave hit Brazil in 2017, like an 80-foot wave. And there are some places where the surfers go that they get 80-foot waves. There's a place off Portugal that gets
yeah. Those are insane. Then off Africa too, out in the middle of freaking nowhere. I think they're way offshore where there's a reef.
Out in the Bering Sea, they get huge waves too during the winter.
Oh yeah. crazy waves. The water's the most dangerous thing out there. And I've drank one water. I need another water. But interesting how, as we look at this, where the sun is right now.
But we couldn't find any reports of any reports of big waves anywhere today. So
Yeah.
you'd think if there was an 80-foot wave out there and it came close to South Africa or something, somebody would report it. But
Well, there was a low pressure, at the time of the anomaly. So look at the waves. There it is right there, right? Go to thunderstorms. There's a high pressure right there. And yeah, there's the high. Maybe that high went higher than high. I don't know. Wind gusts. Nope. Not about wind. Any boats out there? Yeah, we can probably look at the boats.
No, there's no boats out there. They're all at the bottom of the ocean. In that spot. Holy crap, 80-foot waves.
yeah, it was kaiju fighting with Godzilla out there. Except that's usually in the Pacific, so they were way off track. Because there's a new Godzilla King Kong movie where they
I heard that.
team up to fight some other thing that's worse than Godzilla and King Kong.
Yeah, I don't have it anymore. Where all the not on this computer, where you can look at the actual ships.
Hey, Canuck, in maybe just kind of grasping at straws here, but do you think it could have been some government agency, not saying specifically the U.S. or, Russia or anybody, but do you think they could have been testing something and the satellite picked it up and kind of made a false image out of an 80-foot wave or an 80-foot wave?
Because the Antarctic stations are supposed to have their own versions of HARPs, so we'll see.
Right.
From I've heard from several different things, but whether or not that's true, I don't know. You'd have to go to Antarctica to find out, I guess.
Well, like I said, I was just grasping at straws there, but you hear later on of the government doing weird stuff,
Well, that's why I made the joke about the South African HARP. Because if they have one, it's at Sine, because that's what Sine is, the South African Antarctic Research Station, which is down there just below South Africa on Antarctica. But I don't know. I've never studied to see if they have one there, but supposedly they have ones at the other Antarctic research stations.
Is this the first time that you've noticed some weird anomaly like that out in the middle of the ocean? That just
and I know why the into thin air guy found it, because when I first heard about him, he was always looking at all the models for hurricanes and that and stuff and weather stuff. So that's why he found the anomaly. But I don't remember ever seeing that before.
Right.
But he does other reports too on booms and all sorts of different things. So he doesn't just do weather anomalies and stuff. So
okay.
So I've watched him probably for a while.
And it's kind of a tough question too to try to answer. You kind of put him on the spot and tell him what did he think.
Yeah.
It's
Sorry, man.
I have all sorts of crazy ideas about stuff, which is why I make all these funny jokes. Because I take what I've heard and then put them into a joke form, just because it could be a joke or it could be real. It's hard to tell. Because it's people that have been to Antarctica are the ones that are saying these things, but you don't know if How are you gonna how are you gonna confirm it unless you go there and see if what they're saying is actually there? So it's hard to tell. But I would imagine they're doing all sorts of exciting stuff down there. So who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. Shoot.
No way to know unless you're there and see them do it.
Yeah, there was a guy that's being promoted online. He said, I had every key to every room. I said, and I got a response to him, that's because you're the freaking janitor, man. Not because you're special, but you're the freaking janitor. Duh.
Yeah, but you have to be approved by whatever government to go to.
Yeah, this guy's touting himself to be an expert when he's just a stinking janitor.
Yeah, there's one company that operates all the ships and stuff that go there, though. So I thought that was interesting when I looked into it. But that's a whole other rabbit hole.
Yeah. It's tough to stay out of the conspiratorial aspect of things because when we're just like open thought, open theory, out there, somebody else they're doing stuff too, and they're thinking different things, and it kind of it doesn't lend to truthful search because some of these people, they talk pretty wacko. Oh yeah, there's a big alien tank up there, and they're feeding little kids to them, and they're taking the oxygen, or they're trying to lower the nitrogen in the atmosphere because it's too high for them. It's killing them. They need a place to live, and our governments have all said they can live here. Oh my God, whatever.
People used to sacrifice kids when the eclipses went by, so.
Oh
yeah.
They do all sorts of crazy stuff.
Well, how many weird things have we heard through the years that the government has hid from the general public in the beginning, but you find out many, many years later that actually was the case. That's what was going on.
Right. Yeah. I wonder if y'all are discussing Ice Cube Neutrino Observatory is at I'm not saying a damn thing there, big T-shirt Billy.
No, we're just talking about the continent itself. Nothing on it.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of that, have you guys seen the new ice cutter? The newest ice cutter out there? I think it's based out of Australia, and some of the features that they have on it are pretty wild.
Well, I know Canada was supposed to get new ones or make new ones, but I don't know what they're like. I haven't seen any pictures of them. But
Coast Guard cutter Healy inside the largest icebreaker 2 weeks ago. You talking about the Polar Star?
No, I was talking about the newest one from Australia.
Okay,
the brand new ice cutter. I think it's like a year old or a year and a half old now.
Australia's new Antarctic is too big to fit. Birth of an icebreaker. Yeah, it's on Facebook. They commissioned it in 2016. Yeah, birth of the icebreaker. Here you go. Antarctic, Australia's Antarctic program. And there it is. There's a rendition of it.
It's a pretty amazing ship if you guys get a chance just to watch the video on it.
Yeah, well, I'll put the link in chat for y'all. If you're interested, there you go. No pudding for you. I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna let it go. Oh my God, you two are just off the hook. Then they lied to us. Yeah. Oh my God, these two. Yeah, no more text at 1:30 in the morning, guys. Shoot, just call each other if you want to you know. I don't know what they're doing. Ah, la, 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 la. Anyhow. I'm looking at the weather now. There was ice that broke off in the the Antarctic, was it? The biggest piece of ice that broke off here?
Yeah, that was back a few years ago now. I can't remember.
Oh, there's a tropical storm, Paul, approaching or just past Vanuatu, approaching PNG. All right, that's the first named storm that I've seen, but that's a P, so it's well down the list. Far out, just north of Australia. Too far away from sister Aussie girl, so she's safe. That's good. I wonder. We did have some tornado warnings. We still have tornado warnings in Charlottesville, Lynchburg, in Virginia, South Virginia, out here in, or this is South Carolina, Raleigh. Yeah. All right. One of them stinking. Durham. One of them. North Carolina, South Carolina. I don't know where the hell it is. Barbershop style. Uh-oh. Washington. Check it out, man. Yeah. Tornado warning. Yeah. Richmond, Virginia. Yeah. West Virginia. This is North Carolina. Greensboro. Raleigh. Yeah. Yeah, that's where this is. I didn't know that Washington was there. Did you? There's a Washington. It may not be the same one. I don't know. I don't know my geography well about that. But anyway, there is 2 tornado warnings and flash floods everywhere. North Carolina, Beaufort, Craven, Martin, Pitt, and Washington. Expires in 26 minutes. So that's happening, baby. And let's see if I can get you closer here. The track is going up that way. The other one is up this way. Tornado warning. Severe thunderstorm, Virginia. Amelia, Cumberland, Luxembourg, Mecklenburg, Nottoway, and Powhatan, and Prince Edward. Look out! Two tornadoes in the East Coast right now. I think it's still south of everybody. I know Budgie's up north, and it's getting pretty close to Red Wagon. I think Red Wagon's okay though. So I don't know why they're red, because they're not showing it. A bit of a hook. All right. You can't see that. That's right, huh? Dun, 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 dun. Display. Oh crap! Put that out. Display capture. There you go. Yep. And there you go. You can see them now. Yep. Here are the tornadoes right here. Right there. Tornado warning, I should say. And the other one's down here. Moving that way. For you, Quake Cat. I don't think she's here. Three amigos. She is. There she is. Will you sing sing a lullaby to me so I can fall asleep? Crazy girl. There you go. Let's see what else we got on the table. Now we're jumping around a lot tonight.
Well, the buoy's going off and
Yeah, the south of Chile buoy. Yeah, freaking Chinamen down there. Yeah. Ding, 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 ding.
Our
It's a
favorite
weird,
friends, the drunken Chinese submarine drivers.
right? It's really weird to see it drop 100 feet or 100 meters. 3,900 from 4,100. Well, that's 200. What the heck happened there? And there was no earthquake, according to USGS. So, what about Alamax?
200 meters, that's like 600 feet.
Well, if you look at 4,100 meters, right, it goes down to 3,900. It's pretty close to 3,940 from 4,100. That's
the whale grabbed the tether to the sensor.
Yeah, I think the Chinese submarine got it and took it down. You know, they're telling people, "Oh, we're here." All right, we got you.
They took it down for an inspection.
Chinese suppository. You know?
Well, supposedly how they work, the sensor's on the bottom of the ocean. So
right, they hit there's wires that go up, and
buoy.
Yeah,
where it sends the signal out from the buoy to the satellites.
Correct.
So whatever it's detecting is on the bottom of the ocean floor, wherever the sensor is.
So let's see, latest quakes. I don't know when the
on the underside of the earth grabbed it and pulled it in.
Yeah, but 200 meters, that's a lot of movement.
Yeah, that's like 600 feet.
So I don't know what would cause that.
It's got to be an error.
The sensor to move 200 meters.
Oh.
Unless a crack opened up and it fell in, but you'd think there'd be like an earthquake with that. But
Taiwan's still popping at a 4.2. Wow.
It fell in the methane sinkhole or something.
Right. Peru had a 4.2. Philippines a 4.6. 4.3 in Indonesia. 4.9 4 hours ago. Nicaragua. All right. So
like if a landslide hit it and knocked it into a trench or something, that would make sense.
Right.
But 200 meters is a lot of movement.
They're measuring that all from the satellites, though, aren't they?
Well, it's the sensor itself detects the movement.
It's 4G. It's hooked up to the phones.
Yeah, I looked up how they work, and the sensor is on the ocean floor wherever the buoy is. The buoy is just how on the surface is what transmits the signal of it activating going to the satellite.
Right.
That's all the buoy does. And the buoy's like the anchor for it or that it's connected to. So they know where it is to bring it up and replace them, because they do have to replace them after so long.
Right. Do you think possibly some magnetic anomaly screwed with the sensor while it was transmitting?
It could be, but I don't know why it would detect something that was that big of a movement.
Well, if you're looking at a 100-foot wave, right, or 86 feet, that's straight across. All right, from Africa, right, straight across. Yep. There's that buoy. Right, it normally happened out here. There's the buoy.
Yeah, and that's straight to the west. Yep.
So it's kind of interesting. Your theory on magnetic anomalies. We only had the M5, but something could be nudging us. I don't put a whole lot of stock in what the solar eclipse did. Now, I put a lot more stock in that the moon swung through over us the way it did, and pushing and pulling, because it does have a connection to us, and it's always changing. So I don't know, man. If it makes the waves,
But there could be little quakes under there that's making landslides too, so it's hard to tell. Because when I've looked up the other ones that have gone off for no apparent reason, that's usually what I find.
Yeah, a landslide under the ocean, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and some of those can create a tsunami, and some of them can just rumble. And
But wouldn't the buoy be reporting from a different place then? You would see that it moved?
Well, it's still attached to the buoy, right?
well, what if it's
'Cause
like the
that
buoy
has
itself
the
gets
line going
anchored?
to the.
Right?
Yeah, say if a landslide hit it and knocked it into a trench or something, I suppose it could fall down.
What if
200 years.
there was a landslide and the undercurrent? Let me see if you can see this. If I push this out here, yeah, you can.
But I
Might
was
be.
saying with the sophistication of the GPS, wouldn't you be able to see that if it got pushed by a landslide, wouldn't you be able to see that it's reporting from a little different coordinates now?
Well, I think they're tethered to the ground, right? So if a landslide came down and rolled, what if it picked it up and moved it up here and moved it back down here?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's actually tethered to the ground. I know it is to the buoy because that's how they bring it back up to fix it. But I'm not
Right.
sure. They might just drop it down, but I don't know how you would keep it unless it has something in it that connects it to the ocean floor. I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's a tether. Well, I don't know. I think it could also be an error.
Yeah.
A comet splashing down? It could be. There's comets all the time, or asteroids. And we don't always see them, and they hit the water because there's more water on the Earth than anything else.
Because I think that's the last buoy that's down there in southern Chile, so who knows? But none of the other ones went off, so it's just
Right.
But I've seen other ones do that before too, in other places. It's not usually 200 meters of movement.
Yeah, that's a huge amount.
Yeah, that's why I say I think maybe there's an error or something.
If that actually did happen, you would think you'd see a big tsunami going somewhere away from that area.
Yeah, there would be. Chile would get.
But then the other buoys would go off too, right?
Right.
A big tsunami, so it wouldn't be just one.
True.
Because when 8.2 was in Alaska, there I can't remember how many went off. There's like 20.
three or four, I think, right? 3 or 4.
Well, it was all the ones in the Aleutians plus other ones going down the coast towards BC. So there's quite a few. I can't remember how many. I think there was like 10 or 12 or like a whole bunch.
Yeah, I don't remember either. We'd have to look that up. Sorry about it. Had to be kaiju.
Yeah, kaiju ate the friggin' sensor on the ocean floor and dragged it down the hole.
Yeah. I don't like scary movies, man. I don't like them.
Yeah, because kaiju is from the Pacific Rim movies.
Oh yeah. I saw parts of it. Like, nope, stupid. Had to be kaiju. Uh, so we talked about all that stuff from earlier. Is there? You were going to talk about Canuck. You posted a link yesterday or the day before. And I said, let's talk about that.
Oh
And-
yeah, the San Andreas article that got everybody all in an uproar about that.
Oh, did they? I've been working, so I've been able to see anything. So, illuminate us your wizardry here.
Well, they're trying to figure out different indicators of the next big quake on San Andreas near Parkfield, because they had a thing. Well, I read this before that it usually goes about every 22 years, so they're looking for it again.
What happens every 22?
Parkfield has a quake, basically.
Where the hell's that?
Parkfield, California.
Oh, Parkfield. I
Right.
thought you said Cartfield. I went, what?
No, Parkfield.
I don't know where that one is.
So what they're doing now, they're trying to detect new ways of figuring out when it's going to happen, and this new stuff they're doing now, they're detecting other cracks and other like magnetic strange things that happened before it has a bigger quake, and that's what it talks about in the article. So it's talking about it's talking about different like stress cracks that form and all this other stuff that they're all monitoring there, because they've been monitoring all the stuff near Parkfield there since the 80s. So they're trying out all these new ways of monitoring it to try and figure out if they can figure out the precursors to it having a larger quake, so like a 6, basically.
Yeah,
Right.
6 is pretty significant. There's no doubt. You know, if you ever been in a 6, you go, oh, yeah.
But that's what it's basically based upon, is the 22-year thing and the new stuff that they're trying to detect. So that's what it's about. Here, Steve. I think I still got the article up. I'll put it in there again if I can find it.
Has there been any patterns that they've noticed from the previous quakes that they're trying to come together with on a theory?
Well, they're doing that all the time, but see, all this stuff is all like newer stuff, right?
Right.
'Cause they didn't have the ways to detect it back 40 years ago, so they don't know for sure, right? So this is all the new stuff they're coming up with, trying to figure all this stuff out. Yeah, I found the article again, so I'll put it in.
All right, cool. Hey, I'm going to grab a water. I'll be right back.
Is there anything that they're noticing, like a magnetic polarity change or anything like that? That, you know, something that they've had technology for quite a while to observe?
Yeah, there's different stuff like that they're using the satellites to detect, like any strange magnetic anomalies or whatever before the big quakes happen. They're doing it in Japan and a bunch of different places. I think Mexico. I read one about some place, Chile too, I think.
Okay.
Like it's kind of like the same stuff that's going on with the tremor monitoring.
Right.
It's
Okay.
it's pretty much the same places are doing the thing where they're using the satellites to detect any strange magnetic anomalies, like before the big quake happens or whatever. I've read all sorts of different things like that, but usually whenever you see any of these articles, that's what it's related to. It's some new thing that they're monitoring or trying to figure out if it's an actual precursor to the bigger
Right.
quake. And they do have data, but it doesn't go back like super far. because it's only by what they've been able to do, like, say, probably the last, whatever, 20 years maybe.
Okay.
Because they've had to actually, like, take data from satellites and all this other different stuff and all the things they're all setting up there. Like, Parkfield is one of the first places they started doing research on San Andreas. So they have all this crazy data going back all the way since the 80s.
Right.
Now, the stuff they've done at Parkfield now, they're doing it at, like, other faults all over.
Right. Right.
Because Parkfield was one of the first places they drilled into a fault to see what the rocks were like the farther they went down into the fault, which is what all these new fault studies are based upon, where they drill into the fault and go down and find out what the rocks are like. And they found that the farther that they go down, it's all like serpentinite rock the farther you go down in the fault.
Yeah.
Like where the fault is itself. And they figured out that it's when it does a quake, these rocks are doing like a reaction that creates like electricity and all this other stuff and magnetics. And they're basically finding that out in every fault line. Doesn't matter where it is now that they drill into, they're finding the same thing. Because it's some reaction that's happening with all those rocks in the fault that's making all this stuff that they're trying to detect.
Right.
So it doesn't matter if it's like a magnetic anomaly or heat, or which I think that's what when they're looking for the hot spots with the satellites, I think that's what it picks up too. It's all the same type of stuff. It's just they're using different satellites to try and figure all this stuff out.
Right.
And
that's what it confirms.
Yeah, they're doing it everywhere. And they even emit the new geomagnetic map there. They're trying to use that, which is both Canada and the US going together on it, trying to figure out how that relates to earthquakes. They even say that on the site. So there's all this different stuff that they're trying to all connect together. And well, that's what Holmquist says too there, the earthquake prediction guy, that he's using all these magnetic indicators to figure out where the quake's going to happen. Well, he's not doing too good lately because he's been expecting a 6+ in California for I don't know how long now, about 3 weeks anyway, for anywhere.
Exactly what I've been feeling too, is a 6+ in California, and it hasn't happened.
Like, he doesn't say, I've talked to him in like when he has his live chats, but he doesn't like go out and say exactly what he's using for his magnetic indicators. He just says he has a bunch of them and that he's been looking at them for 20 years or whatever. But I don't know what they are because he never says. But it's interesting stuff, because when I've tried to study all these different people that are trying to do precursors and earthquake, well, whatever you want to call it, forecasting, prediction, it's all the same thing. They're all trying to figure out whatever the magic bullet is to figure out how this stuff works. And so when you see all these articles, that's what it's basically talking about. They're coming at it from a slightly different angle depending on who it is that's doing the study.
Yeah, when we look at it, we look at the solar stuff. And the solar stuff has a lot to do with magnetics and how, the sun shoots out stuff or gives off these positive and negative ion, and it hits our Earth and it ionizes our atmosphere, and our Earth is responding. All that is magnetic, but also there's chemicals within that are created. And we look at the ley lines, and we look at the the other lines, the what is that, magnetosphere?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, looking at the magnetosphere here, the magnetopause, right? We can see the dynamic pressure is a little bit less than 1. Protons are still about 4. Wind is only at 423. Standoff's at 12. Now, that's a pretty nominal type thing. If I looked at the ground magnetics, there are some ground magnetics happening right now. In the last 6 hours, from top of the hour, top of the UTC hour until now, you can see very, very, very little. And then it picks up just a hair. But we've seen it where these are both beet red. And they're not anymore for some reason. And
but really, it all comes down to personal opinion because all the scientists don't agree with each other. So it's
Sure,
just whoever
Well,
whoever one you pick to go with, right?
I think there's some things that we can say, like what are the, that volcanologist. He knows his stuff, how it works, and he's been pretty close to saying that this thing's going to move west, and it's not going to be good. If I understood him right, I could have misquoted him, but if they don't prepare and then there's going to be a lot of pain there in Reykjavik.
Well, it depends on where it moves to and where the lava goes when it comes up, right? If it goes to a spot where there's not any highways or people in the way, well, that's good. But there's no guarantee it's going to do that, right? It's going to do what it does.
And
So they better get ready to make some more walls. But I don't know if they even have enough. Enough equipment to do it.
I don't know if they have enough equipment, enough money, and they don't know where to do it. And if it happens underneath Grindavik, all that planning is out the window.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's like two subjects. I mean, this is why we look at many things. We look at the weather, we look at the solar weather, we look at the earthquakes that are happening now, and we look at the volcanoes, and we try to get an overall view of what's happening in our world, and we try to say, hey, there's some invisible things that are happening to our planet, and I don't think we really know what the hell's going on. If you stay in one discipline, you miss the rest. So I think that's why I enjoy kind of going outside the box and looking at different things, and that's important, and that's why Canuck, you do it as well, and Clem does it. We're not just creatures of habit, waiting for somebody to say, "Yep, it's going to happen here," and plan for it. Because it's not like weather. You can kind of predict weather. You really can't predict earthquakes, but I can get an earthquake.
Like the Japanese have a model they're using for the Nankai Trough, a computer model that they have 4,000 years of data backwards that they put into it, and they have all the current stuff. So if there's like a tremor, they can add the tremor into it, and they're actually forecasting it like I think it's 1,000 or 2,000 years ahead.
And here we are.
But when they put any new data in, like any new quake or whatever happens or new tremor, it changes it, right? So this is like how advanced we're getting with stuff, but it's still not. You still can't get it down to the day, the hour, the second. Maybe you could get it to within a few days or a week, but
right.
It's all stuff we're trying to do and figure out.
It doesn't matter if it's a human trying to predict it or a supercomputer. It's still just a prediction, and it doesn't mean it's going to come true.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, there's so many factors that we're probably missing or not factoring in to figure out when it's going to actually happen, and that's what you have to.
And that's why Rabbit Hole's here to dive into a deeper exploration of different thoughts, different ideas. I'm kind of careful about promoting other sites because I don't know what other sites are, and I don't have a lot of permission to do that. Plus, I don't want to get it typecast. I don't want JSL to be typecast into being, gobbledygook. I want us to say, hey, we're citizen scientists, and reporters saying this is what's happening, and this is what what our thoughts are, and it's really difficult,
Well,
Because-
you have to be open to crazy ideas, because things that were thought to be crazy a long time ago have been proven not to be crazy. So there could be somebody out there today with a crazy idea that they just haven't had the technology to prove it yet, but
right.
it may happen. At least that's the way I look at all this stuff. Like when I read all these things and they say, oh, well, this could have a 7.4 and make a tsunami, doesn't mean it's going to do it tomorrow or next week, but it could. Just depends on a bunch of different factors that we haven't figured out yet.
Exactly.
Well, that's pretty key to what we're talking about. That's why I enjoy the rabbit holes the most, because I like my brain to be, exercised, and having people such as yourselves bounce ideas off. And sometimes, you disagree, and that's all right. Sometimes you agree, and that's all right. And then
Well,
sometimes you say something I
profession-
think improvement, like, wow,
Yeah, the professionals and the scientists don't even agree.
right.
One will come out contradicting the other just because they don't like what the other person says. Well, what to do?
Whoop-de-doo. Yeah. Well, yeah.
So I hate to say it, but it all comes down to personal opinion and what are you gonna think and who you're gonna pay attention to. That's what it is.
Right.
And it's the same thing really with the scientists. So you can take the study with a grain of salt, or you can throw it out the window, or whatever you want to do. You might throw it out the window, and it hits the wrong place and causes an earthquake. You don't know. That'll be in the next study.
Or you might eat some Kit Kats or whistle, and boom.
Yeah.
You know?
So it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
All
I
this
miss whistling. So I was whistling the other day, and there was some big quakes that happened. Like, oh my God, stop whistling, stupid.
Yeah, you whistle too much and caused a
Yeah.
Antarctic wave anomaly.
Yeah, that's crazy. Big T-shirt Billy saying, I saw the article 42. They said the increments are about every 20 years. And it's been 24 years since we cocked and locked and overdue.
Yeah, so the last big quake there around Parkfield was 2004, which was same year as the big Indonesia quake and tsunami.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the 9.1, wasn't it?
Yeah, I went and looked them all up because you know what I do. I say, oh, well, they're talking about this one, and then I go back and look up the date. And
right.
So I looked and see what else was going on around then, too. So 2004 was exciting because...
Well, because there's a lot more data today than there was then, because a lot's happened since then. You can see some after the earthquake, you can probably see some of the progression that took place. But main thing, you can see how the world has responded after that 9.1.
But it was at the end of the year, because it was like December 26th.
24th. Yeah, Christmas Day.
Yeah. But that one on at Parkfield was September 28th. So then I started looking back because I remember a bunch of the other ones I've looked up before. San Simeon had a 6+ in 2003. So I said, well, I'm going to look at 2003 and 2004 again and see what was going on. Well, Japan was going crazy with 7s. Alaska was acting up. 2002 was the Denali big quake, 7.8, 7.9. 2001 was the Nisqually one in Seattle there.
With Washington, yeah.
And then I looked up more in 2004, and there were 6s off Vancouver Island. So it's all like the same pattern again. Then I looked down, there was like a 7 down by Nicaragua in 2004, I think it was too. And then 2003, there was a 7.6 at Klima. So here it is. It's doing what it always does. It makes all these triangles. That's what it does. So when I started looking, I say, oh, well, here, I'll pick sevens. I'll look up the sevens. And then I see, yeah, there it's doing the same thing again. Or I looked up sixes because Parkfield was sixes. So then I look around and I say, yep, yeah, I'll just go like a year out from this date, see what it does. And that's what it's doing. And then I remember the other ones, the bigger ones I've already looked up before that were around those same years. And then I say, well, am I missing one in here? And then I usually find one that's missing when I go looking. And I just did 2003 and 2004. This time I never went on into 2005.
When was the last St. George earthquake? Do you remember that one?
The last, which one?
The Hurricane Fault, St. George, Utah.
I don't know. I can't remember. I looked it up before, but I don't remember the year. I did look it up before, but I just don't remember the date. St. George.
Not recent. 3.
How big was that quake there, Joe? Do you remember?
1992 had a 5.8, September 2nd.
Yeah, so 92, that would have been the same year as Landers.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't Landers 92?
Yep.
Yeah,
it was after Landers as well.
It was after or before.
Yeah.
Was that the same year that Virginia had a 5.8 or 5.9?
No, that was 2011, the same year Grimsvötn blew up.
Okay.
Yeah, because every East Coast thing I've looked up, there's always an eruption in Iceland before. Every single one I've looked up so far. Doesn't matter going way back to the 1600s. Which is as far back as I can go for North American quakes.
Mm-hmm.
I never looked up 1585 because they figured out there was one in the Aleutians, but I bet a big, like a 9. That's one that they've proven the farthest back in North America. But I never looked up to see what was going on in Iceland, and because my theory is that Svalbard and Jan Mayen have to act up big time before you get like an 8 in Alaska. And I can actually prove that going back because I have Iceland has all the quakes now. They gathered all the information they had going back to 1900. And I can go and look and see when there were swarms of 5s up there and then compare them to the.
So
it's crazy stuff.
Well, yeah, your headset went out.
Yeah, it conked out for a second.
Yeah.
Canuck, how long when Svalbard and Jan Mayen they act up, how long of a time is it to then usually Alaska gets an 8?
The longer they act up, the bigger the quake. And that can vary. Like when I looked up 64, when Alaska had the 9.1, 9.2, it had been swarming like Svalbard, Jan Mayen, all up that way for like going back months. Like I could see 5s and 4s like all over because they had them all recorded on their size.
Were you seeing any 6s up in Svalbard or Jan Mayen?
Sometimes you will get a bigger one, but it's usually like swarms of 5s. So this is why I always watch the swarms of 5s now. Like I never understood this, so I started watching what it was doing in 2020 in Iceland, and then see what it does. And now every time since, whenever I see a swarm of 5s, it's always the longer it goes, there ends up being a bigger quake on the opposite side of the plate from where it's happening. Sometimes it's Alaska, sometimes it's Mexico. But if, like, with Reykjanes Ridge, when that swarms, it's usually Mexico. And when it's farther north, it's usually Alaska. So, but if I hadn't figured out the liniment thing, I wouldn't have got that either, because I like try and see how it's where the swarms happen. It's usually across the plate from it that it adjusts, or like halfway across the plate. Because
Okay.
we just had all those fives on the Mid Atlantic Ridge that were all in the middle there, right before we had the 4.8 in New Jersey. So I was expecting it to do something. I thought it was going to be farther inland, like towards Wabash Valley Fault Zone, which is the one above New Madrid.
Okay.
But
Yep.
but at this time, it actually did it more on the East Coast. And like just the other day, I went back and looked up all the historical quakes in New Jersey. And then I went and looked what was happening in Iceland every single time. So every single quake that's been like a 4 and 5 New Jersey, going way back to 1737 was, I think, the first one that they mentioned in New Jersey. Every single time there was a major eruption in Iceland, because they had the dates of the quakes, and then I just went and checked what was happening at the different volcanoes in Iceland, because I've done it so many times now. So I can go back and check and see when the eruptions were. And it's always usually within, like, depending on how long the eruption goes and how big it is, it usually responds within, like, I'd say probably 2 weeks to maybe a month or more. And see,
Okay.
we've had the eruption there around Svartsengi going for how long now, right? Before we got the 4.8 in New Jersey. And this is what I found when I go back and look at all the stuff, because I think it's like all on the same liniment line. So, like, when it's all activated, eventually you end up getting a quake down the line.
Right. Right. Yep.
And that's what I think it's doing, based upon all this different stuff I'm looking at. But of course, I have to dig to find the information, because I have to find stuff that goes back far enough that I can match it up with all the other dates that I'm getting for stuff. But
Right.
the first quake that Europeans recorded in North America was New Hampshire, 1638. So then I just went and looked and see what, and I think what was blowing up there. And Etna was blowing up at the same time. And I can't remember which one it was in Iceland. It was either Grimsvötn or Bardabunga. Or if you look up the volcanoes in Iceland, there's 4 or 5 that always blow up. I can't remember which one it was now. In the 1880s, when all that stuff was happening, it was Grimsvötn. But there's been other ones there that have gone off at different times too. So you just have, because they have super detail on the Iceland ones, so I can go back and match them all up, and then I can go into it deeper and get the exact date that it went off, because they have records of it. And then I can say, well, look, this is like, it erupted for 6 months, and then there was like a whatever on the East Coast on the same line, like following it down. And so you
Can you expect the magnitude to be what, from like mid 4s to what, high 5s on the East Coast when Iceland goes off?
Yeah, but there has been 7s on the East Coast before. So I think it relates to how long the thing erupts. And
so if it on this go around, if it, let's say, goes for 6 months, do you think we could expect another quake, but a bigger one over in the
I think so, because if it keeps going like what it's doing, because it's already been going how many months now? It started back in, well, the one in the current place, because there's been 4 eruptions now, so it's been going since December. So we're in March now, or well, no, April. So December, January, February, March. It's been going for a while now, and it's still erupting. So it's crazy stuff. Now, I looked up like some of the, when Etna's had really big quakes and stuff, and when I first noticed that, it had a big one in 1783, 1784 was when the Lackey Fissure eruption went on for like almost a year.
Yep.
There was a massive eruption in Etna, and they had 3 big quakes that made 3 different tsunamis all right close together. And then I said, well, that's interesting. So I'm going to look up the history of big quakes and tsunamis at Etna, around Etna. So I did that. And of course, they have records going way back. Well, guess what I found? Every single time there was always some big eruption near Grimsvötn, because Lackey Fissure eruption is connected to Grimsvötn and Bartabunga and all those places. So, and I went back all the way till like the year 600 or whatever it was, because they have all the records of Etna and all the big quakes around there going way back. And I could go and compare it to all the information they had on Iceland, and I could see it doing the same thing, because it all relates to the Mid-Atlantic Ridge, all this stuff, right? So if you can correlate all this data that's all over the friggin' place, and now with all the technology we can see what it's doing with spectros and everything else. You can see how the things all connect, and like the crazy stuff that I'm thinking, there must be a supercomputer doing the same thing somewhere, but
is there any chance that all them areas you're talking about run on the same liniment?
Oh yeah, well there's lineaments coming from each one, right? Because that was the first thing I noticed when I started trying to do all this stuff. And I'd say, well, why does it prop here, but why does it skip over here? Like it's going in a straight line to a certain spot, and it's showing up on the seismos and the specs, but it's skipping over these other places. Now, why is it doing that? So for some reason, it's following a certain line when the quake props. The bigger it is, the farther it props. And they say, well, it goes around the world so many times. Well, it's doing all this stuff. It's following those pathways. And then I went back and I said, well, I can read a fault report on any quake going way back as long as we have records. And then I started looking at the fault reports, and then I see, well, look, they felt it this direction. And then I said, well, look, it's matching the same lines, which I think are the magnetic field lines of the Earth, and that's how it works. And it's just that we have so much friggin' information, you got to be looking at it from like 50 different ways to figure out how. And this is what they're trying to do now, but they're always focusing on one spot, right? When they do all these studies, like what they're doing in Parkfield, where they're saying, oh, well, we're trying to figure out it in Parkfield. So they're focusing all on that. And then all the other scientists are saying, well, that's not what it's doing down here. We don't agree with you. But they're not looking at it from like a global point of view, and they should be. And then you could apply it to another planet, which is what they're trying to do now too, because they say, oh, well, the moon has earthquakes or has quakes. So what is that doing? And then they have the stuff on Mars, and they say now there's Mars quakes. Well, now we got to figure out what that's doing. Well, it's probably all doing the same thing on every friggin' planet. Because I just read stuff today about Uranus, because you know me going on joking about Uranus, so I keep finding more stuff about it. And so they figured out new stuff about its magnetic field. They haven't had a probe go by there since '86, but they've had all their fancy new telescopes and satellites pointing at it. So they're figuring all this stuff out about Uranus, and that its magnetic field is all weird and it's slightly tilted. And they just found out, I read an article today that has 55,000 times the amount of water that Earth does, except that it's all frozen. Yep. So it's like, so there's all this crazy stuff that they're all figuring out. Now they're planning to say, oh, we're going to send a probe there. Probably got the Andorians on there, because the Andorians are in Star Trek from the ice planet. So, because I think that's where they come up with a lot of this stuff, right? It's like people researching all this stuff, and then they just come out, oh, well, let's make an alien from this ice planet. And it's all based upon all these studies that everybody's reading. I think that's really what it is. So it's just funny, all this different stuff. So since I've been making fun of it, well, I said, I guess I better go learn more stuff about it so I can create more jokes. So that's just what I do. And of course, the other main thing that's frozen on is methane. So I thought that was funny. So then So it has like a whole crap load of methane and hydrogen and oxygen, and then water, of course, but it's all frozen. And then they figured out that some other thing that was Earth size smashed into it. I don't know how they know that already, but smashed into Uranus at
Was
one
it
time.
an asteroid or a comet that hit?
No, well, they're not sure. They think it was like the size of size of Earth, so it'd be pretty friggin' big. So they say it might be like another planet, because they think that's why it's knocked it while its axis is knocked off kilter, and it's tilted slightly different. It has a 17-hour day, so it's different from us in our 24-hour day. But this is all stuff they figured out since the Voyager 2 probe went there in '86 and flew close to it before it went on its way. And now they're planning to send another one here. Well, they hope by 2026, but it takes, I forget how many years it takes to fly there. 3 years or 5 years or something. I can't remember what they said in the article. But like, this is all the crazy stuff. Like, I'm reading stuff all the time. like I read the San Andreas article the other day. Now I'm probably about 50 articles past that one. But it's not like it's not like anything different than what I've read in a bunch of the other ones. It's just they're coming at it from a slightly different angle. But it's all just the opinion of whatever group of scientists that's working on it. Well, we know that from watching all the stuff that Nick does, right? It's the same thing.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Trying to get everybody to agree on anything is the problem, because everybody has their own slight angle to it that's different from everybody else. So it's all the same thing. But if you get bogged down in that, you never get anywhere, right? So it's just crazy stuff, because we have so much data and information to go through, and try and make sense of it is the secret, I guess.
Yep,
Right.
when he's on a roll, no doubt. He's had his Kit Kats tonight.
Yeah, so I'm all sugared up tonight. So.
Yeah.
Canuck, I don't mean to kind of bounce back here a little bit, but I'm kind of intrigued with your connection with the Svalbard Jan Mayen swarming, and then we get, a big quake in Alaska. And I know you said the longer the swarm goes, the bigger the quake that they'll get over in Alaska. But
These are just his observations, so you're aware.
yes.
Yeah.
But the swarm that you normally see over there in Svalbard and Jan Mayen, are they like, as the time goes by, and do the earthquakes over there kind of get bigger, and you notice there's an uptick in it in magnitude,
You can, if you go and look at all the actual data that's right from Iceland. But a lot of times it'll swarm at 4s or 3s or whatever, but you won't see that, right? Because the USGS is not showing it. Or you'd have to go to whatever country is closest to it, like Svalbard and Jan Mayen. Svalbard is Norway, keeps track of all the places. I can't remember Jan Mayen. I think it's Norway for it too. But
I have Finland, and I have I think the Lussimer. Is that it?
Because what I found all the ones they gathered all together in Iceland for the northern mid-Atlantic ridge.
If you
all
want
of
to
them are all there, and you have to go and download all that's in a spreadsheet format, and you can go in and look at all the quakes, like it has them all listed. Any of the ones they've detected with their seismos from like 2 on up. And you can go back into these. I have them downloaded, and they just came out here like a year or 2 ago, but they had going all the way back as far as they had information from seismos from, which is like back to 1900. Now, of course, in modern times, the closer you get to now, they have more seismos out there to detect stuff. Like years ago, they never had any seismos on the Reykjanes Ridge, but they went and put them out there underwater. So now they can detect more quakes there better than what they could back, like say 30 or 40 years ago. They still
Right.
they still could detect the bigger ones out there. So say fives, they could detect them because they were large enough for them to detect
Right.
from farther away. But
Well,
now
because they were in cities, they're in cities or whatever, and they have the seismos in the cities wherever they can make $1 and run their little program and say, oh yeah, there's an earthquake out here. Whoa. And then they
now
the other ones and they triangulate it, and that's how they found it.
Yeah, now they can do it better because they
Mhm.
put seismos out there underwater in order for them to, because they have them at Reykjavik Ridge now. I forget when they started doing it. After there was a big swarm back there in the 80s, they started going out and putting seismos out there underwater to detect what was going on at Reykjavik Ridge. And that's what they do with all this different stuff now. So they have seismos on Jan Mayen and on Svalbard that they go up there at all the different scientific stations and they have them at it so they can actually detect stuff. So they are recording all this. You just have to dig to find it. And of course, they're not showing all the smaller ones. Like if
Nope.
you had
Right.
if you had a spectral for all those places, you can go and watch it. Which is basically what Deb was trying to do with Rock Fight. She was trying to spread it to all the different places so you could see what it was actually doing and then figure out how this was all happening, right?
Well, I mean, that's what they look at. Scientists look at across the plate, and viewing the seismo data, they can determine the kinds of rocks theoretically, or if there's water, or if there are other faults. The way it acts and the way it responds, the signal going through rock and then bouncing off other rock, or it gets slowed down or sped up. They use all this data, and that's kind of how the scientists do to get some sort of perspective, and then they use that perspective to put out an idea. And that's what Kieran Siglock's stuff does. She's, they've developed a vision of it, but it's still really theoretical. And although it's pretty good, it's still theoretical. Their interpretation of what they're seeing, is, they went against the norm, saying that, hey man, plates don't just get burned up as they go deeper. They actually keep going deeper and deeper until they hit the bottom of the inner, not the core, but the one of the levels of the
inner mantle or whatever.
Yeah, the top.
Yeah,
of
the bottom of the mantle before it gets to the core. So whatever they
throw
call
it against the wall and see what sticks. Yeah.
Yeah, the outer core boundary. But really, all this stuff is it's all like new info. That's all it is. It's new info using new info to prove whatever it is that your theory that you're saying. That's all it is.
Yep.
I really think in the next 10 years, with all the new technology we have, I think there's a lot of these questions that will be answered in time.
I think they're going to give you an answer. I think they're going to give you an answer, but it's going to be the answer they want to give you.
Well, even at the end of the San Andreas article there, it says that they said, well, by the time it does do the next 6, we'll have more information, so we'll know better how it's working. Well, that's the same as what it is for anything. So the more stuff happens, the more information you get about it, and the better you can figure it out. But
spaghetti for the win.
That's just how it works.
Yeah. Well, I've got a big day tomorrow. So, is there any last things you want to add there, Clem? What you got? Any thoughts? You're still want to pick his brain, Canucks brain?
I'm still. I mean the connection between the Svalbard Jan Mayen and the Alaskan bigger quakes, and what you said, the Reykjavik Ridge,
Hmm.
and when that starts swarming, it goes down to Mexico.
Yeah.
Is that really intrigues me because I guess in the future when it starts happening, you get to see it. I guess I will be able to visually put the connection together. It's
Right.
right now without seeing it. It really intrigues me, and I want to know more about it.
Right. What he's saying, I think what he's saying is how I look at it. If there's a piece of ice out here floating on the water, if you push down on this side lifts up.
Yeah, it's going to adjust on the opposite side.
So that, and then with the connection down in Mexico and a connection with Rick James, it's on the edge. I mean, we see stuff go up and over all the time into the the area out there off Alaska, but this side here around the west coast just doesn't do anything.
But sometimes it adjusts on the east coast and in the middle too, which are all those interplate quakes, they call them, because they're more in the middle of the plate. Which to me they still haven't really explained yet. They just call them interplate quakes because they're in the middle of the plate. But the whole plate is adjusting because it's in different pieces, right?
Yep.
So and if that's why I use the ice example, because you can, well, anybody that's been around a river that gets ice on it or a lake or whatever can understand how that's working because you've seen it so many times. So I think it's the same way with the plates. So you don't know where you can try, and you should get better at it over time, figuring out where the break is going to happen and it's going to make a quake. But it's interesting stuff to try and figure out how all this stuff is working.
Canuck, that you're saying like from Mexico to the Reykjavik Ridge, that runs on that liniment line. It's straight through, right?
Yeah, it's always like the opposite side when you follow the liniment line. But there can be more than one liniment line going to that spot, right? So it can be northwest to southeast, or northeast to southwest, or east west. Because I've seen times where it adjusts east west too, like right directly across. That's kind of like what it did this time with all those fives that were out at the Mid Atlantic Ridge there, because it was from like Azores down through. Well, they still called it Northern Mid Atlantic Ridge, even though it was way down almost even with the Caribbean. But if you look where all those fives were, it made like an arrow pointing right towards New Jersey.
Right. Yep.
So I watched it do that, and I said, well, it's going to do something somewhere on the East Coast or like going inland farther.
Were you suspecting more like Virginia or like New York, farther inland?
I was thinking it would do inland on the fault that's above New Madrid, but it didn't. It went to New Jersey. Which then, when I thought about it, I said, well, yeah, that makes even more sense because what it's doing in Iceland, because we've had the volcano erupting there for however many months it's been now. So
right.
It's crazy stuff.
Right. Yep.
I apologize. My wife and my mother-in-law just walked in the door here.
Oh, did they?
So they're laughing.
Oh, they're laughing.
They can't hear. Yeah, they're laughing at you and laughing at me.
Really laughing because they can hear us. That's
Yeah, they can hear when I got the mic on.
Picks up everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, you have anything last to say there, Canuck?
No, I can't think anything else tonight because we covered all the major crazy topics.
Yeah, I think it was an excellent show.
We always end up finding something to talk about, even when there's
Yeah. And we didn't talk about baseball this time, so some people will be happy.
Who played?
Last, I don't know.
Mom?
Well, Otani's off because Ipe said he was guilty and changed all the notifications on Otani's phone and all this other stuff. So
Yeah, it was a plea deal.
yeah, so Ipe's the fall guy, I guess.
He says he's out. 42 is out. He says, peace.
He was there.
Anyway, love y'all. And
Nice.
let's close this show down. Remember
thank you,
Friday night, tomorrow night is the shit show with Luke Klimmer. And we'll, there you go. There's a Luke Klimmer show at 10 p.m. CST. Be there or be square. And yeah, the morning show here on JSL on Twitch. Let me see here. Let me see here. There we go. Hi, I'm Joe of the Joe Slick Live Show. My interactive live show is on twitch.tv/Joe Slick Live. Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, and occasionally in the evenings at 7. During the live show, I review and talk about reports from government, private, and other reporting agencies and websites regarding celestial and terrestrial phenomena. Topics will include solar flares, sunspots, geomatic storms, and near-Earth asteroids and comets that are being monitored around the world. Included in the report is current events in the last 12 to 24 hours here on Earth, consisting of volcanic, seismic, and weather events. I close the morning report off with what's happening in the local and world news. Thank you, and you can be a part of the morning report by going to twitch.tv/Joe Slick Live. Look forward to seeing you there, and remember, don't get none on you. All right, everybody. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you next time on the Rabbit Hole. And again, see you in the morning, and look forward to seeing you guys next door. I mean, yeah, at Luke Klimmer's site. And just look at Zuper_Snow_Plow_King. God bless America. Change the name, will you? To Luke Klimmer. It'd be all right. And see you there tomorrow night. Good night, everybody. And love you. Thanks, Canuck. Thank you, Luke. And we'll talk later. Big hugs, y'all.